It's crazy when I really sit back and think about it. At 19, I dropped out of college and joined the United States Army because I felt like that was the path calling me. College didn't feel right. It felt like something I was supposed to do, not something I actually wanted to be in. So I walked away from it and I chose something different. And now, almost 30 years later, after everything I've built, everything I've lost, and finding myself in a completely different place than I ever imagined, the Army has now given me the opportunity to go back to school and get my degree. So the thing I walked away from for the thing I walked towards is now being given back to me through the same decision. And when I really think about that, it doesn't feel random. It feels like a full circle moment. I've been sitting with that a lot lately because there are so many moments in life that don't make sense when you're in them. Decisions you make that feel right, but you don't fully understand why. Things you walk away from, things you walk towards, and you don't realize until years later how much those moments actually shaped everything. And I feel like I'm finally at a place where I can see that in my own life. The last few years for me have been about understanding, not building, not chasing, not trying to get to the next thing, just understanding. Understanding what I went through, understanding my patterns, understanding why I made the decisions I made, and really understanding myself on a level I never had before. And I needed that. Even though it took longer than I wanted it to, even though there were times I wish I could just move on, I couldn't. And I'll be honest, I could have made the decision a long time ago to just move forward, to push it down, to stay busy, to distract myself and keep going, because I've done that before. I know how to survive by staying busy. I know how to keep moving. I know how to outrun things emotionally. But this time, the harder decision was allowing myself to actually feel it. Because this wasn't just one thing. It was a lot of loss, all at once. And I wasn't in a place where I could just ignore it and keep moving. I had to process it. And once I started, I realized there was a lot more there than I thought there was. Layers I hadn't dealt with, patterns I didn't see before, things that needed my attention. And it slowed me down a lot. And I didn't like it at first. I like figuring things out as I go. I like movement. I like progress. But this time, I couldn't do that. This time required something different. It required me to stop. What I was really trying to understand was how disconnected I had become from my own voice. Somewhere along the way, other people's opinions, expectations, criticisms, fears started getting louder than my own instincts. And when that happens, you stop building from within. You start reacting to everything around you instead. That's why I'm able to move forward now, because I didn't skip that part. I didn't rush through it. I didn't pretend it didn't happen. I let it change me. And now I feel different. Not finished, not perfect, but aware. More grounded than I've ever been. Because I've gone all in before, but there was always someone beside me in it. I think part of the reason I never fully went all in on myself before was because if I gave something everything I had and still fell short, maybe that meant I just wasn't enough. But I don't believe that anymore, because now I actually want to see what happens when I fully show up in my own life. And even with school, I don't think I ever fully applied myself before. Not because I was scared of failing. I think it was more that I never really saw the point in over applying myself when I didn't need to. I always did enough to move forward, enough to succeed, enough to get by. But this feels different now, because now I actually want to know what I'm capable of if I fully apply myself. Because what I've learned is maximum effort is never really required. It's what you choose to give. You can do the minimum, you can do enough, you can survive that way. But I don't want that anymore. I want to give everything now, not just in one area of my life, in all aspects of it, mentally, physically, emotionally, in school, in fitness, in how I take care of myself, in how I move through life. Because I just don't want to be good at one thing. I want to be good at life. And for a while, I thought that next chapter was going to be golf school. I was excited about it. I made the announcement publicly. I really thought that was the direction that my life was moving in. And honestly, I think this path makes more sense for who I'm becoming now, because what I actually have in front of me now is an opportunity to build something long-term, not just in fitness, not just in golf, but in my mind, in my future, in my discipline, in my life. I looked at what was in front of me and I chose to move with it. Part of maturity is learning not to attach your peace to one exact outcome. That doesn't mean I'm letting go of golf. That part matters to me. It just means I'm learning there's more than one way for life to unfold. Because for the first time in a long time, I feel like I'm building a future instead of just recovering from the past. And maybe the biggest difference now is that I feel like I'm consciously participating in who I'm becoming. School starts in June. I start my cut May 26th, and I'm competing again in September. And honestly, that excites me. Not because I think everything is suddenly easy now, but because I finally feel connected to the life I'm building. I told my coach the other day, after I get my pro card, I want to qualify for the Olympia. Not because I think I'm going to win. I just want to stand on that stage one time and see how I compare to the best women in the world. And when I told him that, he looked at me and said, then you need to be doing cardio. Honestly, I didn't want to hear that because I had already convinced myself I didn't need to do it yet. I told myself I was in a bulk phase. I told myself I could wait. I told myself I was already doing enough. But that conversation made me realize something. If I'm saying I want elite results, then I need to stop negotiating with the work that comes with it. Because if there are 10 things required to get somewhere, I need to do all 10, not just the 9 I like, all 10. The Army taught me mission over mood. Do what needs to be done, whether you feel like it or not. And when he said he wanted 60 minutes a week, my first reaction was resistance. Not because 60 minutes is hard, because I didn't want to do it. And that's when I caught myself. Because if I'm saying I want big goals, why am I pushing back on something so small? So now it's a non-negotiable. Not because cardio changes my life, but because keeping promises to myself does. And I'm not going to pretend I don't have moments where I think, what if I can't do this? What if I'm not good enough? What if I fall short? Those thoughts are there sometimes, but then I catch myself. What if I can do this? What if I actually show up the way I said I would? And yeah, what if there are people better than me? Good. If someone works harder than me, if someone puts more into it than I did, then they deserve to win. That doesn't bother me. What would bother me is knowing I didn't do everything I could have done. Skipping things, cutting corners, giving myself excuses, and then wondering why I didn't get the results I said I wanted. I don't want that. I don't want to give myself a reason to look back and say, I could have done more. So I'm not going to skip anything. I'm going to show up for it, all of it. And if I get beat by someone better than me, I'll respect that. Because that just means there are people out there pushing themselves at a level I'm still working towards. And that's not going to stop me. That just makes me want to see how far I can go. Because at the end of the day, I'm not competing against them. I'm competing against how far I'm willing to push myself. And one of the biggest things I'm learning right now is that I need to trust myself more. Not every opinion around me, not every fear, not every moment of doubt, myself. Because somewhere along the way, I started giving outside voices more authority than my own instincts. And I think that disconnection from myself is part of what I've been healing these last few years. Not becoming someone new, just reconnecting to who I already was underneath all of it. And another thing I realized through all of this is that the time and energy you invest in yourself is never wasted, because that stays with you. Your mindset, your discipline, your awareness, your growth, your character, nobody can take that from you. That's why I'm finally starting to feel more at peace with where I am in my life, because I know I'm building things within myself now that will stay with me forever. And I'm finally realizing I actually do know who I am. I just lost connection with that voice for a while. And now I finally hear her again.